door you entered from is symbolic. It's not really like a door that shuts you out. Because when it is shut, we can still enter the church. It's symbolic. So, and there are carvings on the door, typical of an African door. Not like the panel doors that you see today without any carvings. So, and there are statements in the carvings. None of these pillars is a replica. They may have family resemblance, but each is unique. So we believe that everybody, just as we are all unique, even identical twins, are not completely identical. So all the pillars you are seeing, the rounded ones, someone counted it and reported that it's 12. So 12 apostles.
Most of the wooden pieces here are also manufactured and designed by him. Oh, yes. The chairs, they are looking at all these pillars, they were all carved by him. So what he did was that he used his work here to now set up a new industry, which he calls artwork design, art and craft and all that.
Is part of the message of our unity.
Structure, and it really depicts that community. At the middle here you have a letter. The middle here you have a letter for literature. This becomes the center for our concentration, everyone here. The word of God is put here, the Bible. The community preaches from this platform, and everyone is coming to the platform. And then you have the altar there.
Somebody saw a basket that you weave the word. You weave the word when you are projecting it, proclaiming. The words are woven as you proclaim.
And that's striking feature is that the way he made it is such a way that you don't even really need a microphone.
From an African point of view, anything that has to do with communal gathering is what we call theater in the round, playhouse. Now, major African performances, then now, traditionally, there was always a congregation in the round. And what helped with the acoustics is, well, I'm not a scientist, but everyone knows obviously that sound travels through air, yes? And the more enclosed we are together, the more you can hear what the person says. Now, the wood is the acoustics, and he got the idea from the proscenium stage that the colonial brought as well. So, okay, fine, we can still have our theater in the round, which is, it's not like it's a performance space, but that communal gathering, you still get to hear what whoever is the center point is saying, and then the wood just.
If you look through the lintel, you see that there is an opening for light and air, but not water. Oh. So you see, even without the light, there is a flash of light. Yeah. On its round, it can pass air, light, but not water. And then the roof almost mimics the thatch roof. You see the rafter design. And then the chamber for the light up there, where you have the power end, is 360 illumination. When the light is rising from the east, it's in. If it goes to the west, it's still in. So once there is sunlight, the center of attraction in the other is fully illuminated.
Christ, and then you have other crosses, smaller ones, those upside down, those in different shapes. It's called the Hall of Martyrs. It's a reminder for every one of us as Christians that we're possibly martyrs and we carry our crosses. So, and that's where we find our victories too. So just a reminder, one fascinating thing for me is the poems he has all here. I still wonder how Ademas came up with that idea. It's really interesting. Because remember, during the persecution of Jesus, he was crowned with horns. Yeah, so it is a real symbolic. And I think the same concept of light coming through the.
And this is why I went into publicity.
The big ones are actually coming now. So if somebody should get like
this is actually the initial drawing sketch that he gave the monks when he was trying to get the job. So what you're looking at is exactly the first representation of the building. So I mentioned that he likes to design to solve a problem. So when he started building this, and he knew he was going to attach a bell tower as well. So setting up something this high, during the rainy season, you need to have a way where water had to flow out without really staying too much, especially on the decking and all that. And he designed what we call an impluvium. What it means is that there are several channels of water that come in from the top to the middle, all the way down to this part here. So instead of just having one channel where the water just drops down at once, which it looks okay, but exactly, it's not good. It just reduces that traffic and it keeps on coming in smaller stages until it gets through here. And it also helps to cool out. You see the conditioning. Yeah, exactly. So instead of having AC and all that around, it just helps to cool out the place. So during the rainy season, there's actually no problem with maybe having water stay on the concrete. And it means that you just drain and start dripping, and everything channels right down to this interior.
And then remember that there was no drainage in the city then. So it was constructing a self-contained compound so that there will be no runoff. So when the water drops from the building, it's contained here. It's only when you have excess rain that it will now overflow. And the overflow will just go into the surroundings. Not that there is a drainage connecting, because this is like a stand-alone compound. So it's not like a usual city where you channel to a drainage for outside. No. So it was considering that while making the building. And then on further probing, we also reviewed that part of the reason for having this is to checkmate distortion, so that the integrity of the building will be maintained. Because without it, somebody would have expanded it a little and it will be out of shape.
Something fascinating here, which I've been thinking more, is about these ancestral forms that are here. That, one for you, do you think that the Christendom feel comfortable to have the presence of the ancestral forms along with their own teaching?
Based on our own theological reflection, there is what we call inculturation, which means the Christian faith finding roots in every culture where it's found. So it's not a strange understanding for the Catholic faith.
What do you say? What term do you use?
Inculturation. So it's unique to the Catholic Church that you don't want to be a stranger in the environment where we are. So that would have informed the way he also engaged the project. Because for him, before even going into construction, he gave a paper in 1968 or so. He presented a paper on the work he wants to do, an academic paper.
Life, right? We say that. And you have a pond here. He also has a religious symbol for us as religious persons. In the scriptures, when people were introduced into the Christian community, they went through the baptism of water. So it's a reminder when we come for prayers as brothers, crossing over this, we're reminded of our baptismal promises, go into God's house. So it's very symbolic for us. And then someone was asking, is this just water or there's fish? So I'll give you the opportunity to find out. Who wants to throw some of these? So yeah, we have enough. So please just throw and find out if there is anything in there.
Just
Throw it. Just cut.
I'm one of the pioneers when the new project started. During that time, the contractors, those who are making the church. So I was also one of those individuals who first came down here. There were about 35 or 6 of us. And then that used to be our kitchen.
The chimney.
The chimney. And then the toilet there, and then an open over there. So if we want to make noise and don't want people to hear, just go behind somewhere there and do your own thing. And then during that period, he was always around, and the brother also for me to assist and other. We had to talk and discuss extensively. So all the things he has said in terms of the cultural, spiritual dimension and all that, they are really, really true. Because I also had personal contact with him. You know, why are you interested in this type of a thing? Yeah. Fundamentally, the cultural dimension is also important to be reflected in where we are living and all that. And so that is how our own ancestors, so to say, the priests here who first came from the US, around that period, we are more or less saying, okay, we want to also bring in the cultural dimension into whatever we are doing here. The idea of this is a community. Where we are going to, whatever we are building, will reflect that. So that it will be a community within that place. And then more or less shield ourselves from noise and distractions from outside.
One of the common things we had in common with Delta and also here in Ibadan was that they had these courtyards as well. The idea is just to allow proper cross ventilation. So instead of having the rooms face each other, it's really difficult for cross ventilation to happen. You just have it around and then just put like a demarcation. So this center pit basically is just, apart from space, just really helps with proper cross ventilation. So wherever the air is coming from, if it's coming from behind the building, you get all the air and it passes through. If it's coming from the other side, you get all the air and it passes through. So everyone is comfortable, and then it also helps with proper spacing as well. There was no, he wanted to build, he was looking for functionality, but also something that's affordable for you and for everyone to just adopt. So you want to build your house, you just need to find where to get sand from around, instead of thinking of going to the quarries where they will charge you a lot more money and all that. And it does the job. So the only foreign material you're bringing in are the iron rod, maybe to cast your beams and all that, and your cement. Everything is here. Everything else you need, the blocks are here as well. His use of wood was just to also commend with the laterite blocks as well, to something so that would last as well.
now day 3. So Continuum, what is it about? It's a threefold call, like what you guys will call aromenta. Aromenta, that's what Continuum is all about. I love that phrase because it embodies what I stand for, which is circular economy. And so threefold call, and that is to reconnect us with our history, to tap into our creativity as the foundation of that history, and to imagine a thriving future in Ibadan.
It's really, really amazing to be here, to be in Ibadan, to be back in Nigeria, and to be able to participate in this. We'll tell you the story another day, but we met through Instagram, just Amber and myself. Wow. And it led to this, and being able to share this moment and share what I know is going to be a really beautiful and fascinating conversation with both of you. And I too was thinking, we'll get to a couple of quotes later, thinking about this idea of continuum, right? And one of the metaphors that came to mind for me is the idea of a river that's always flowing, and we get to step in. We can step in at the source, we can step in the middle, we can step in towards, where it lets out, possibly into the sea. But this idea that it's always flowing, and we get to step in, and no river is ever the same twice, right? So that sense of flow and continuity, past, future, present, all coming together at once is one of the things that I really thought about in relationship to this term, continuum. And
so it looks like a festival, but at the end of the day, I'm personally very subversive and anti-imperialist, and also want us as a people to recognize who we are and what we have access to, what's right in front of us, the knowledge that we have through our inheritance and the cultural knowledge that is around us that we've been disconnected from. So for me, it's greater than Ibadan, but we're in Ibadan. And so it's like a think global, act local kind of situation. So here we are together. Who do we know who's right in front of us? Who can we work with to get the ball rolling in the spaces that we're in? So I would say that the why now for me is, I tried to do it 4 years ago and it didn't happen. So just kind of bending to the will of how things were meant to happen and how things have come together is the why now. I think why Ibadan is, for me personally, is because I'm in Ibadan, but also Ibadan is Ibadan. All of us know the glory of Ibadan. The unfortunate side of it is that we speak of it in past tense most of the time.
The Mascom's philosophy, and which I try to ask a lot of questions about. I am a Yoruba person, and I was born in Nigeria, I grew up here. So everything about me is informed by my environment. But unfortunately, it's so rather unfortunate that the consciousness of where I was born was for me to look outside, not looking within. And that becomes problematic. I want to become, throughout my life I have lived as an Arab person, praying to God in an Arab way, doing everything in an Arab way. So that made me become a lesser person. So I begin to have these turbulent feelings about, am I actually a human being? So that was what led me to begin to research into. And when I become an artist, I begin to ask questions about what is the most artistic practice in my culture. Is it in replicating? Is it in doing landscape and all stuff? But along the line, when I now reached that deeply, and I discovered that Africa, all of us, every part of culture in Africa, have this philosophy about the existence of man that is twined, the inner and the outer.
Yeah.
ní síwájú alágbe ọlọ́gbọ́n inú yín ò takoko mi dénú aṣọ ọmọràn yìí kan ọmọ yerúpẹ́ ilẹ̀ àrìnà kẹ́ni ò débi ọ̀nà ti gbé pẹ̀kun bí ẹ fún níbi tá a gbà á níbi tó ti gbé bì ní níbi tá tún nìkan gírí ń bẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí ti ń ṣẹbọ gbogbo ẹ̀yin olórílẹ̀-èdè yìí tẹ́ ẹ̀rọ pa ẹ̀gbọ́n nílé ayé ayé ń polúkúrú muṣú lọ ẹ̀ ń lọ ọ̀run ń polúkúrú muṣú lọ ẹ̀ ń lọ ẹ̀ ṣàwọ̀ babaláwo tó dífá tó di ọ̀run bọ̀ wálé ayé èmi rọ́jú o èmi ráàyè mo sì wá ròhun ayé nu o. ilẹ̀ yìí dára o ilẹ̀ yìí wuyì ìlú ọlọ́ràá tó kún fún wàrà tó yin nínú mi ilẹ̀ yìí wù mí ilẹ̀ yìí tura ilẹ̀ yìí tunú ilẹ̀ yìí lọ́kàn tó pọ̀ ilẹ̀ yìí dára o ilẹ̀ yìí wuyì ìlú ọlọ́ràá tó kún fún wàrà tó yin nínú mi ilẹ̀ yìí dára o ilẹ̀ yìí wuyì ìwà pẹ̀lẹ́ ìwà tútù ìwà ọmọlúwàbí ilẹ̀ yìí dára ilẹ̀ yìí wuyì ìlú ọlọ́ràá tó kún fún wàrà tó yin nílùú mi ìlú mi ni ilẹ̀ mi ni ilẹ̀ mi ni ọmọ onílẹ̀ ọmọ oníwà yé ilẹ̀ yìí dára o.
About the methods that we must engage with when we want to do research in African realities and African studies. I mean, I like the fact that the theme of this conference is Continuum, and that got me excited. So there is an institute of dialogue with culture and religion here in the Dominican University, and we intend to move away from the monolithic discussions that have been about Africa and African realities, and that's why for us methods is important, and so we look at interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary methods so we can engage. We talk about the same thing and we engage with other realities and other patterns of thought. And it's more or less acceptable now to say there is no bare truth. So we have heard and we have listened, we have read about Demas Woko and what his impressions are. and we want to begin to engage, and as Africans, be voices in the discussion. And that's why the institute of dialogue is important. We don't just want to be listeners, we don't just want to give you a platform, but we want to dialogue. Dialogue parties, we also want to be equal parties, and that's why the institute is creating some templates that you can engage with. The first one is that we want to dialogue, and dialogue will be between equals, or among equals. Gone are those days when they told us what we are, who we are, what we should hear. We want to have an engagement between equals about what African reality is.